Coach Greg, and today's video is about Thomas Delauer. He made a recent post about the top 5 ways that women store body fat. So previously I did one about the men and how they store body fat. This time it's about the women. I'm going to go into detail explaining how it doesn't really make sense again for the most part, and how the science of it is not really actually interpreted correctly. I will go into detail and you will completely understand what I'm saying, and all of you will agree with me. That's the way the cookie will crumble. And trust me, you're eating too many cookies if you're overweight. You're eating in a surplus. Energy cannot be created, destroyed. You're storing body fat because you eat too much or don't exercise enough. It has nothing to do with these 5 reasons. Really, truly, it doesn't. So, number 1, he talks about underactive thyroids, so hypothyroidism basically. So if you're a woman, he says, women, there's more prevalence of this, which is true. There's a little bit more women that get that. And if you have an underactive thyroid, it slows your metabolism, and then a slower metabolism means you're gonna not burn as many calories and store more body fat. So here's the problem. Only about 10% of women actually have this. It's not a large percentage. So all the women who are suffering with obesity, only 1 in 10 has anything to do with that whatsoever. So if you're overweight, to blame it on hypothyroidism, not really a good excuse. The next thing also related to this is the fact that it only makes about 10% difference at most, even if you do have it. So that means if you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're fine and your metabolism's good, then all of a sudden you have this low thyroid, you might only burn 1,800, probably 1,900 calories. So it only makes, on average, the 100 to 200 calories difference. That's not a lot. So if you just ate 100 to 200 calories less, you would offset that completely. And that's not even that doesn't even point to how many people will go to the doctor and get Synthoid and in fact fix the problem. So out of these people that have a hypothyroidism, most are going to the doctor anyway and getting it fixed. So if you do have hypothyroidism, it is to a small degree going to affect you because you're not going to have quite the same metabolism. But if you go to the doctor, you can easily get that remedied. So that's my advice. Go and get it checked out and get it fixed. And if you do still have that, and even if you can't get it fixed, just eat a bit less, because it still comes down to calories in, calories out. So the main thing is, don't use this as an excuse. We're all looking for excuses as to why we're overweight. We don't look for excuses as to what to do to fix them. So if you're overweight and you have an underactive thyroid, don't think, oh, poor me, I have an underactive thyroid. Think, I'm going to eat less, I'm going to burn off more calories, I'm going to make up for this. Think of a reason to go to the gym, a reason to eat healthier, a reason to show everyone that you can still do it. Don't let limitations slow you down. We all have things we don't like about ourselves, or certain genetic things that we're born with that slow us down. Just make the most of what you're given and put in the work, and you will get the results that you want. The next reason he goes on to say is that you're not eating enough calories. So women in particular, he says, they diet more than men and they're not eating enough, and that's causing them to have problems and lead to being overweight. You're not overweight because you don't eat enough. I get that all the time from both men and women. More so from women. They'll write in and they'll hire me and they'll say, I don't eat enough, that's why I'm overweight. No. Calories in, calories out. If you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight, period. You cannot break the first law of thermodynamics. You can't create or destroy energy. You can't get fat if you don't eat enough. So that's not an excuse. If you're in a deficit and you don't eat anything, if you don't eat nothing, you're going to keep getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, okay? Has nothing to do with being obese, okay? It just makes no sense. Now, here's the problem. If you're fasting, for example, and you're only eating once a day, or you're fasting, you're going 2 days without eating, and you're eating 1, and you only have a 2-hour eating window, that's going to make it harder to build muscle. If you don't have muscle, that will in turn slow your metabolism. Less muscle, less calories burned. 10 pounds of muscle added, 200 to 300 extra calories, okay? So if you diet too hard, which means you're losing weight too fast because you're starving yourself, and you lose muscle mass, that will slow your metabolism. So women especially, get to the gym and lift some weights, because weights is going to improve muscle mass. You're not going to look like a bodybuilder. You're not going to be jacked because you trained 5 days a week at the gym with weights. If you want to look like a bodybuilder and you're a woman and you're scared, it's only going to happen if you take crazy amounts of steroids and you train like a madman. If it was that easy to just work out a little bit and look like a bodybuilder, we would all be looking like bodybuilders. Half the people are taking steroids and still don't look like they work out. So trust me, that is not a concern. Number 3, he says not enough protein. So I fully agree with this, because he said some women are eating not enough protein, they're cutting their calories too far, and they're eating not enough protein. That tends to be true. Women are like, oh, I don't want to eat a protein shake because that like builds muscle. So that does in fact happen. And so make sure you eat enough protein, 0.5 grams to 1 pound to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, take half of that, 75 grams to all of that, 150 grams, and stay somewhere in there, and you will get plenty of protein. Don't forget, you need a training stimulus for muscle. You need to go to the gym, lift weights, use progressive overload, meaning you start easy, don't go crazy, slowly over time, train harder and harder and harder, and keep building muscle. And as I just said in the last point, you're gonna build more muscle, it's gonna boost your metabolism. And just think, compared to a hypothyroidism, where you're losing maybe 100 to 200 calories a day from your metabolism, from not having a good thyroid, 10 pounds of muscle, 200 to 300 calories. So if you add muscle, that will more than offset even an underactive thyroid. So women, building muscle is one of the keys to growing and basically boosting your metabolism and keeping yourself from gaining body fat, okay? So don't forget, you need to build muscle. That's a key ingredient. Number 4, okay, and this one is kind of silly. I'll explain why. Vitamin D. So he's saying that if you take in more vitamin D, or you're out in the sun and you get more vitamin D, then you're gonna burn more fat, because some people don't get enough vitamin D, and so then they're not burning fat. And why does he say that? Because he read a study that basically said that people who burn fat in a low amount release a little bit of vitamin D. People that burn a lot of fat release a lot of vitamin D. Well, guess what? Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. Vitamins A, D, E, and K, which I remember from 20-something years ago in university, are fat-soluble vitamins. They are stored in fat. If you burn off fat, it gets released. So of course, if you burn more fat, you're releasing more vitamin D. Doesn't mean if you start taking a bunch of vitamin D, you're gonna burn more fat. That doesn't make sense. That would be like a study saying people who lose a lot of weight sweat a lot. Yeah, because people who lose a lot of weight tend to do more cardio, and they're sweating and they're exercising, they're sweating more. So I know I wanna lose more weight. I'm going to spray sweat all over my body, or no, I'll drink it and that'll make me burn fat. No, you can't just correlate things like that. That's how studies can make you and be misleading. They mislead you. Like sweet sweat. Do you remember that one? You have to rub on this stuff and you look all shiny and it was supposed to make you burn more fat. That's such bullshit. It's so crazy. So no, not adding vitamin D. It's not needed. Unless you're deficient or something and you need it, but it's not gonna be the secret to burning fat. It's still a calorie in, calorie out. You're not just gonna add vitamin D and all of a sudden your metabolism's on fire. No, you need to add muscle. That makes your metabolism on fire. And the final one, this is the most crazy. This is the one that I disagree with him the most, okay? So hear me out on this one. He quoted a study, and the study says, systematic review on the prevalence of anxiety disorders in adult populations. So study on anxiety. So then he says, this is what he says. In the workplace, women tend to have twice the stress of men. You know, they get the cold shoulder at work. Is this the 1950s? Women all getting the cold shoulder at work, they're treated unfairly, and they have twice the stress? The study was on anxiety, not stress. You can't just say the results that say anxiety is higher means you're more stressed. That's not how it works. You can't just say that. It's just not the correlation. So he just arbitrarily finds a study on anxiety and then says, oh, stress increases cortisol, cortisol store body fat. So yeah, so here's a study that proves that women have more body fat storage because of the workplace, because of the stress. But it's not stress, it's anxiety. So what is it? It would be like saying, you have a study that shows that stress happens and you say, oh, because it's stress, oh, then that means that they're more happy. Stress and happiness, that's not the same thing. Neither is anxiety and stress. Anxiety does not mean stress at all. Even if the study was on stress, which it's not, how is it gathered? Let's say they ask a questionnaire. So you're men. Okay. I'm reading the questionnaire. Let's ask all the men. Are you stressed at work? How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed are you? 7. Women, 9. How do we know that men don't answer the questions differently and men are more likely to hide their stress? Women are more likely to be open with their emotions and say, oh yes, I am so stressed. Men are all hidden and they don't want, we don't know, that could be the truth. So you can't just say because one thing says this, the other one means that. It's a bunch of sciencey type of stuff and it's big words and no one really understands it. 95 to 99% of people aren't going to understand the studies that are being quoted. They're not going to be able to see through like the stress and anxiety. They're not going to understand vitamin D and that it's a fat-soluble vitamin. And so you're kind of fooled into thinking, oh yeah, I'm a woman and I'm overweight and I like this video because it explains me. It gives me an excuse to give my ego a better feeling. Versus they watch a Greg Doucette video and Greg says, calories in, calories out. You need to exercise more. You need to eat less calories. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Make the most of what God gave you. Build your muscle. Eat your protein. Do some weight training and blah, blah, blah. Thyroid issue, go see your doctor, get that fixed. Even if you don't get it fixed, you can fix it by eating less. It's like the hard, honest truth, and people don't want to hear that. They want an excuse to feel good about themselves. They want to hear, oh, it's okay that you didn't go to the gym today because you were tired. They don't want to hear, find a reason to go to the gym even if you're tired. They don't want that. People want to be babied and coddled and made to feel good. I don't do that. I tell it like it is with no bullshit approach. You know exactly where you stand, and that's what I do. Anyway, that sums up the video. If you want to hire me, go to gregdoucette.com for coaching. Follow me on Instagram because I post so many videos and pictures, and I talk about all kinds of topics that we don't even get the chance to do here. Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro. Bloop up here, another Thomas Delauer video. The first one, you definitely want to see that. And check out my latest video that I did the other day right up here. And don't forget to subscribe, click that bell button. And till next time.